In recent years, increasing attention has been drawn to the idea that Earth's history has been punctuated by cataclysmic events, particularly massive floods capable of reshaping entire landscapes. Among the most compelling voices supporting this view is researcher Randall Carlson, who has dedicated decades of study to ancient cataclysms. One of the most striking revelations Carlson discusses emerged after the Cold War, when Western scientists were granted access to previously classified Russian geological records. These documents revealed staggering evidence of a massive flood event in Siberia, the Altai flood. Until recently, much of the discussion around megafloods focused on the Pacific Northwest in the United States, where geologist J. Harlan Bretz first introduced the concept of the Missoula floods in the 1920s. Bretz proposed that a glacial lake in Montana, known as Glacial Lake Missoula, had burst through its ice dam and released a torrent of water across the landscape, drastically reshaping the Columbia River basin. His ideas were initially dismissed, but later confirmed through decades of geological evidence. What many in the West did not realize was that a similar, equally enormous event had occurred across the globe in the Altai Mountains of southern Siberia. According to Russian geological records now accessible to Western researchers, including Carlson, the Altai flood represents one of the most significant geological events at the end of the last ice age. As glaciers retreated and meltwater accumulated in large basins, massive glacier-dammed lakes, such as the conjoined Chuya and Kure, formed in the intermontane valleys of the Altai Mountains. The combined volume of these lakes was around 600 cubic kilometers. When the ice dams that held them back finally failed, the resulting deluge released water with the force and speed comparable to, or even greater than, the Missoula floods. What followed was a flood of staggering proportions. At its peak, the Altai flood may have reached flow rates of up to 800 million cubic feet per second. The raw power of this discharge left behind unmistakable markers. One of the most dramatic indicators of this flood can be found in the giant current ripples that scar the landscape of the Kure Basin. These are no ordinary ripples. They are massive gravel formations, shaped by turbulent water, with wave heights up to 18 meters and wavelengths stretching to 225 meters. These features dwarf those found in any modern river system and speak to a force of nature far beyond anything witnessed in the historical record. In addition to the ripples, geologists have identified giant bars along the lower Chuya and Katun rivers. These sediment deposits rise as much as 300 meters above current river levels and can extend up to 5 kilometers in length. The most well-developed bars occur just below the confluence of the Chuya and Katun rivers and show evidence of being shaped by powerful eddies and currents on the inside bends of the river during the flood. Their scale and structure make them incomparable to any features formed by ordinary fluvial processes. Downstream, these massive deposits taper in size but continue to mark the trail of the catastrophic floodwaters. Near the city of Gorno-Altaysk, the height of the bars drops to around 60 meters, yet even these smaller formations bear witness to the incredible forces that once scoured this region. In some places, these sedimentary bars have effectively dammed tributary streams, creating lakes that still exist today. This natural engineering by floodwaters offers more evidence of the enormity and permanence of the event. For advocates like Carlson, the implications of the Altai flood go far beyond academic curiosity. He and others suggest that this event, alongside the Missoula floods and other similar occurrences across the globe, fits into a larger pattern of cataclysmic flooding at the end of the last ice age. These events were not isolated or regional, but part of a broader global phenomenon that had profound effects on the Earth's surface and possibly even on human civilization. Carlson emphasizes that such floods, occurring between 12,000 and 14,000 years ago, may be linked to rapid climate shifts and potentially cosmic events, such as comet impacts of solar outbursts, which could have caused sudden glacial melting and dam failures. This theory challenges the conventional view of gradual geological change and supports the idea that Earth has experienced periods of abrupt, transformative events that left indelible marks on the landscape and the human story. Critics of this perspective often argue that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Yet, the Altai flood, much like the Missoula flood before it, presents exactly that: colossal geological formations, massive sediment deposits, and a hydrological footprint that defies traditional explanations. The synchronization of these events across continents adds further weight to the idea of a global cataclysm. Moreover, the fact that the Altai flood remained largely unknown in the West until geopolitical shifts allowed access to Soviet-era geological studies underscores the gaps in our collective understanding of Earth's past. The discoveries made possible by this international collaboration remind us that science is ever evolving and that sometimes forgotten or hidden evidence can radically change how we see the world. As Carlson and others continue to explore and publicize the implications of the Altai flood, a larger narrative begins to take shape, one that challenges the gradualist assumptions of mainstream geology and opens the door to a deeper understanding of our planet's volatile history. For those willing to entertain the evidence with an open mind, the Altai flood stands as powerful testimony to the possibility that Earth has been shaped not just by slow erosion and sedimentation, but by moments of sudden and overwhelming transformation. In this light, the mystery of the Altai flood is more than just a geological curiosity. It is a key piece in the puzzle of Earth's dynamic history, one that may hold answers not only about our planet's past, but about the forces that may still shape its future. The CIA document, The Adam and Eve Story by Dr. Chan Thomas, discloses that Earth experiences cataclysmic events roughly every 6,500 years, resulting in the annihilation and regeneration of civilizations. He proposed that these cataclysms are natural, cyclical phenomena that alter the Earth's surface and human history. Oddly enough, shortly after it was published in 1966, after the CIA classified it, it was quickly removed from the public domain. The book discusses significant catastrophes such as pole shifts, mass extinctions, and the recurrent annihilation of advanced civilizations. It remained largely concealed until certain segments were disclosed years later. The declassified CIA document by Dr. Chan Thomas indicates that Earth experiences cataclysmic events roughly every 6,500 years, resulting in the annihilation and regeneration of civilizations. He proposed that these cataclysms are natural, cyclical phenomena that alter the Earth's surface and human history. Currently, just 57 pages are accessible. Nevertheless, they are extensively redacted, raising numerous inquiries on the book's actual content. Individuals are intrigued by the reasons this book may be deemed perilous and the rationale for the CIA's desire for its concealment. American electrical engineer and psychic Dr. Chan Thomas developed a theory of worldwide apocalypse in which drastic changes in Earth's electromagnetic fields cause the crust to become more viscous, accelerating continental drift. In the 1950s, Dr. Thomas served as a project engineer for Bell Aircraft's Missile Guidance System and Douglas Aircraft's Skyhawk program. Subsequently, in the late 1960s, he was employed by McDonnell Douglas to collaborate with Robert Wood's Advanced Concepts Research and Development Team, which focused on UFO and other science projects. The concept of pole shifts has captivated scientists and sparked arguments for numerous years. Charles Hapgood was among the initial proponents of this approach in the mid-20th century. He posited that the Earth's outer layer could shift over the interior layers, resulting in a change in the position of the poles. According to Hapgood's notion of Earth's crustal displacement, these shifts might occur quite quickly and cause significant changes to the planet's climate and topography. Initially, numerous scientists dismissed Hapgood's theories, but he garnered attention when Albert Einstein expressed interest in his research. Although Hapgood's theory did not gain widespread acceptance, it facilitated further investigation into the potential alterations of the Earth's magnetic poles. Currently, it is understood that the magnetic poles actually shift, albeit usually at a gradual pace. The potential for swift, catastrophic changes continues to be a focus of active investigation. A terrifying forecast regarding abrupt pole changes was made by Dr. Chan Thomas, and he posited that these changes may occur rapidly, potentially within a single day, and result in significant calamities. He stated that these rapid alterations could precipitate significant earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and tsunamis, culminating in extensive destruction. Although the majority of scientists express skepticism over such swift transitions, the concept continues to engage the curiosity of both scholars and the general populace. Mass extinctions have destroyed numerous species throughout Earth's history, altering the trajectory of life on our planet. Certain scientists propose that these extinctions may be linked to polar shifts or other significant geological occurrences. This era experienced a substantial decline in global temperatures, attributed by some to a comet impact or a major pole shift. Theories of ancient, highly developed civilizations that might have been wiped out by unexpected disasters have also been sparked by these tragic occurrences. Proponents of these theories contend that evidence of these ancient civilizations is discernible in myths and enigmatic archaeological sites. Nevertheless, conventional archaeologists exercise caution and emphasize the necessity for more substantial evidence prior to altering our concept of history. Certain experts propose that significant environmental changes may have influenced the flood narratives across diverse cultures. It is believed that ancient individuals, witnessing the devastation caused by rising seas, transmitted these narratives to caution others on nature's might. In his book, Dr. Chan Thomas goes one step further and claims that these flood myths are based on actual catastrophes brought on by changes in the Earth's poles and other catastrophic occurrences, rather than being merely fanciful stories. He contends that these tales serve as historical accounts of earlier calamities that nearly wiped humanity. Thomas posits that our predecessors crafted these narratives to commemorate events and caution future generations about their potential reoccurrence. Throughout history, human civilizations have risen, flourished, and eventually fallen, leaving behind remnants and mysteries of their existence. This pattern has led some researchers to theorize that humanity may indeed have a time limit, a built-in cycle of creation and collapse that recurs every few thousand years. From the ancient Sumerians and Egyptians to the classical Greek and Roman empires, history suggests that each civilization reaches a peak before succumbing to decline. The consistent recurrence of these falls has prompted questions about whether our current civilization might be subject to a similar fate. Could humanity be bound to a cycle of rise and collapse, destined to rebuild only to fall once again? The idea of civilizations having a time limit is not without basis. Historically, great societies have risen to unprecedented heights only to experience sudden or gradual declines. One of the earliest known civilizations, the Sumerians of ancient Mesopotamia, thrived around 4500 BCE. They established cities, created writing systems, and developed complex social and political structures. However, over time, factors such as environmental degradation, invasions, and internal conflict led to their decline, and eventually, the Sumerian civilization dissolved into other rising empires. Similarly, ancient Egypt enjoyed nearly 3,000 years of relative stability and cultural advancement. It was one of the longest-lasting civilizations in human history, and its achievements in architecture, medicine, and art were unparalleled. Yet, Egypt also fell, gradually losing power due to invasions, political fragmentation, and economic pressures. By the time of Cleopatra, the once great civilization was subsumed into the expanding Roman Empire. Another example is the Roman Empire, whose rise and fall remains one of the most studied cases of civilizational decline. At its peak, Rome controlled vast territories across Europe, North Africa, and Asia, and its influence shaped much of Western civilization. However, internal corruption, economic challenges, and relentless invasions by outside tribes eventually led to the collapse of Rome in 476 CE. The fall of Rome marked the end of classical antiquity and the beginning of the so-called Dark Ages in Europe, a period of reduced knowledge, cultural decline, and political instability. The patterns observed in ancient civilizations have led scholars to explore theories of cyclical collapse. One such theory is that of the Four Ages, an ancient Hindu concept that divides human history into repeating cycles: the Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dvapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. Each cycle represents a gradual decline in human morality and civilization, culminating in chaos and destruction before a new age begins. According to this theory, humanity is currently in the Kali Yuga, an era characterized by moral decay, conflict, and instability, signs that some interpret as precursors to a major civilizational reset. Similarly, the philosopher Oswald Spengler proposed in The Decline of the West that civilizations have a life cycle akin to that of living organisms. They are born, mature, grow old, and eventually die. He argued that Western civilization, like those before it, would also undergo a period of inevitable decline. Spengler's ideas have influenced historians and sociologists who study the life cycles of civilizations, suggesting that human societies may be subject to forces beyond their control that lead to eventual decay and collapse. Another theory, known as the Malthusian trap, posits that civilizations expand until they reach the limits of their resources, leading to collapse. This theory, based on the work of Thomas Malthus, suggests that population growth eventually surpasses the available resources, resulting in famine, conflict, and decline. The collapse of the Mayan civilization is often cited as a possible example, where a combination of drought, overpopulation, and resource depletion likely contributed to its downfall. The recurrence of civilizational collapse raises a pressing question. Is our modern global civilization bound to face a similar fate? Many researchers argue that while technology and globalization have advanced human society in unprecedented ways, these same factors have also increased the risk of widespread collapse. Unlike past civilizations, modern society is interdependent, with complex networks of trade, communication, and technology linking nearly every country. This interdependence, while a strength, also means that a crisis in one area can ripple across the globe, potentially destabilizing entire systems. Environmental degradation, climate change, and resource depletion are among the most significant challenges facing humanity today.